I'm so inspired. Just there's joy in death. This is like what's showing up for me. There can be joy in death, and that's such a mind-blowing thought in my mind. I just wanted to share immediately. It's like right here. Does that make sense? There's joy in death.
Yeah, I mean it's I always have to come back to beauty and and how beauty, I mean, it's a gift to be alive in this body on this short journey. And if we would probably think a little bit more, be aware of that this journey is very fast and would end, maybe we would treat our life differently. And maybe we would see really the value in all these everyday things we're doing and live a little bit more connected, grounded, and conscious with one another. So, that's again, it's the invitation is to really get up close to these topics. What is the most, it's part of our existence.
Mm.
And
What I got curious is how did you come to that with your divorce? Usually I would connect that with somebody close dying or something like that, but it seems like that moment for you with separation was so deep for you.
yeah, something died. I really felt there was a phoenix rising, I was in the ashes, in the mud,
Mm.
and something had to die. And it was that pivotal moment. And as I'm a very curious human, I was like, wow, there was a program in Colorado. I was living in San Francisco. And I was like, okay, wow, this sounds interesting. I want to learn about that.
Mm.
Yeah. And then, fast forward, I didn't necessarily wanted to work with the literal end of life. Didn't want to sit at bedside, but I really during COVID I did so many podcasts and talked about this because I thought if we can really get that in the middle of life, there is a chance that we can actually sculpt and create this whole other part of our second half of our life in a much more conscious way. And we don't have to wait to the end and say, "Oh, I wished I would have told my people to I love them. I wished I would have traveled more." All these things, these like standardized sentences people literally say. Oh, I wished I would have, taken more time off. I wished I would have, explored more and not worked so much. I wished I would have risked more,
Mhm.
adventured more. So why wait to the very end of life
Mm.
to realize that? That's heart-wrenching, eh? Whoa, can you imagine? You're on the last breath and you say, I wished I would have done that. I mean, so why not be like, okay, now let's talk about this now and live that life. Go,
Does
go
it
and
does
live
it
it.
sound like only with acceptance of death or limitness of our time we can actually experience the full joy? Because when we accept, this is limited journey. This journey will end. Does that expand our permission to bloom, maybe, or permission to joy?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's all of, I don't know how you feel about this, but we all go through hardships, no matter where in life, what society, level you're on, poor, rich, color, you name it, whatever country, da, da, da. But we all go through these hardships. And I think these hardships are these invitations for us to actually reconnect to our source.
Mm.
And death is one of them. And when we get that we, have this limited journey, so why not really make it something meaningful? And maybe that's part of it is might be the healing, really looking inside. It's like and getting curious, but like, who am I actually? Who do I want to be for these next 30, 40 years of my life?
Yes.
How can I bring joy to the world, that vibration, that love? How can I share my innate love? We are love, and we're so by these systems of oppression we live in, you know. It's just like we're so, it's taken away out of us. But at the end, we're all love.
Mhm.
You know, we're all one.
Yeah.
So I can get really passionate and animated about this because I really feel so much about, you know,
Can I share one more thing? One more thing. What you just shared was like, you know, our dear friend was diagnosed, and he's the same age. So last year we were all 40 years old, so it's generation of 40. And our really close and dear friend got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Mm.
And that was in autumn. And what you just shared, um, that was the moment I exactly felt what you shared. It was such a painful moment to accept deep down with no filters, no holding back, no, you know, excuses. That's a possibility. You can die now at 40s.
Mhm.
And it was like something shifted in me. I'm now thinking if something died in that point, because you use that word and it's very interesting. But I felt that I want to choose differently. I have a choice, and I'm not willing to go back in those circles of repeating the same things, which mostly are work. Doing
Mhm.
work, disconnecting from the body, from the important relationships, and then coming back to them. It's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to prioritize things that are based on safety that is not safety anymore, that it's grounded safety that is grounded on the fear. I want real safety.
Yeah, it's perceived safety of the system, of
Yeah.
the patriarchal system, or, you know, colonized, the capitalistic system, right? Which wants you to stay hooked, the golden carrot, and we work 9 to 5, we work to pay for, you know, free time. I mean, it's just so, when we really think about it, it's crazy. So, you know, is that the meaningful life? Is that the meaning of life while we're here?
Yeah.
Right, there's more, right? There is more simplistic things. There's the, you know, the connection to your family, to your children, quality time.
Yeah.
You know, really, you know, we don't need to be consuming as much as we did. We need really actually little at the end. You know, we need to foster these, we need to create village squares again. I host grief groups, and that's what these grief groups are. We create, you know, community. It's even if it's online, but it's a village square. We populate that village square again, where we hang out and we witness each other in what's present.
Mm.
And that's what's missing. You know, we're so lonely. This is the unspoken pandemic right now. Again, you know, we had COVID, but we're in a pandemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
So
Even if we are in the group of people,
yeah,
we can be lonely because we are not witnessed.
yeah,
That's such a big difference.
yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, and so these moments were like, maybe, you know, it didn't need to be that death, but it needed to be the reminder, like your friend, when, you know, wow, he got this diagnosis and he could actually pass, and so could I.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, it's those little warning signals. You know, Doris knows that last year my husband Paul was diagnosed with cancer, and it really was a gift in terms of reevaluating how we want to navigate this journey together, and how important our connectedness is.
mhm.
And thankfully he has recovered,
Mm.
and yet there's still that gift that's been left behind for us, right? That wake up call to go, oh yeah, you know what, life is short. We
Yeah,
don't have a lot of time here. And how do we want to navigate the next so many years together? And I think those conversations are important as well. Like, how do we want to navigate this? How do we want to age together? Or, you know, how do we want to navigate aging? And I think those are important conversations too, for, ourselves, our friends, our family. I want to have those conversations with our daughters that this is what we want as we age. Yes, we can set up a funeral for you. We can have all that taken care of. What is it that we want as we're aging? How do we want to navigate that? And I want my autonomy as I'm aging.
Yeah.
And I them to have their autonomy, as our children. So it's lots of incredible conversations. And again, it comes back to that courage. Like I need to have some courage to have these conversations about aging and death.
Yeah.
And I think it takes the mystery out of it, the fear out of it, because we've avoided, at least in my upbringing, we avoided talking about death. We weren't even allowed to go to the funeral home as young children. It's how do we normalize it, have these conversations and be able to say, this is what I want. This is what I want as I age, and this is how I want to die with dignity and grace and connection and love.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And also, while you were speaking, I was thinking, when you have this courage to talk to your daughters about this, that is, you're making yourself vulnerable. And vulnerability is, is the way to intimacy. And intimacy is into me. You see, I'm allowing you to see into me. That's what we're all yearning for. And at that core is, the loneliness. Because we are so afraid to be vulnerable and that somebody could see us in our vulnerability and then judge us. But exactly that is the point, right? We are invited to be vulnerable. No matter of the outcome, we don't know what it's going to be like. But maybe we find that connection. We find that true intimacy, even within a family structure. And that is, again, that's it. I'm like, wow. That's the essence.
Well, Claudia, actually never spoke about this grief and death. We met several times, but I'm very inspired to meet this part of you. It's a new part of you I'm seeing and learning from, and it's very inspiring. Very inspiring. So it's beautiful to see you share this with such a calm and wisdom and insight. So yeah.
Yeah. Working with deeply traumatized people, there's always grief. And if we don't have the language of grief, my clients, then we cannot really process also the trauma well. And it's often the grief of a very young child, which was hoping for love or, care, and it didn't receive. And when we touch into the wound, then that grief comes up and it needs to be held. So I'm just again very passionate about, this death, grief, all these deep, dark, is it really dark? They're just human experiences. We're invited not to, we're afraid of them, but we shouldn't. It just is. Yeah.
And I just got the answer for what's holding me back from my forgiveness. It was just like you were sharing that. It's like, yeah, my inner child is still grieving for that family, for that picture of that family that I wanted or I imagined. And I always thought we were going to come to that point, and we are not. It's still that part of grief, accepting that it was just an image. Yeah, so moving. Thank you. Yeah. Oh.
This was amazing. This was amazing. I could keep asking you more questions. I want to ask you more, but it's really I loved how you talked about the vulnerability and the intimacy. And this is just such an amazing area to reflect on. And to get me thinking about what is it that I really want, for the years ahead. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and that when you share that exactly with your daughters, maybe you can foster a whole new relationship with them because they get to know you better and they understand you. And when the end really comes, then they can really give you that what you envision.
Mm-hmm.
And because that is so stressful, I've seen this over and over again. We don't talk about death. Suddenly, nobody knows what that person wanted. Yeah, I think she wanted this, or maybe that. And then it becomes, again, we're outsourcing it. We don't keep it with us because we feel overwhelmed, we feel stressed, and everything goes just wacky and sad because we couldn't really fulfill, that person's last wish because we didn't know, because we didn't have the courage to engage in that conversation. And that should not happen when the person is already in the bed. It should happen now. We should know each other that well.
Mm-hmm. And one other thing comes to mind is
Goosebumps.
I was discussing with a friend about her mom has Parkinson's and is in decline, and she's not that old. She's in her early 70s. And we talked about how it's important to have the conversation right now, not about the death part, to what is it that she wants right now. And I said, I want to have those conversations with my children while I have mobility, while I have good cognitive function. And I said, that's really important because she talked about, I don't want my mom doing this or that. She doesn't want her going to the gym. She might get hurt. She might fall over. She doesn't have, she has balance issues. And I said, if you told me I couldn't move, if you told me I couldn't go for a walk in the forest, if you told me that I couldn't do the thing that brings me so much joy, which is movement, I said, that would be awful for me. I would rather, I'd rather move to the end, even if that makes the ending shorter. And I said, those are conversations I want to have with my daughters, that, you know what, movement is so important to me that I want that as my priority because that's what makes me feel good. That's what brings me joy. That's my medicine. And they need to know that that's really what I truly want, rather than to be in a protective bubble that may extend my life a little bit longer and it may not bring me joy.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. So much yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
We've got a long time here, Doris. We better wrap it up.
Well, I'm just expanding in gratitude, really expanding in gratitude, and with new awareness also about gratitude. That is really one of my favorite topics. So Claudia, one big thank you, really to come here, share with us, and it was so good to spend time with you today. Yeah, you're going to my gratitude journal today.
I think you're going to my gratitude journal. Well, both
yeah.
of you. So
Thank you, Claudia, for showing up with your authenticity. Like you're just so beautiful in how you express. And I received so much. So thank you for sharing your heart with us.
oh, I feel touched now. I'm gonna cry. Thank you, thank you. It's arriving. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so moved to. Maybe, we should talk about this more. But let's close it for now. But I feel like this topic will expand more. It's such an important topic. Yeah, so thank you. Talk to you soon. Let me know if you cross Slovenia.
Or Canada.
Yeah. So yeah, well, be in touch and let me know how it all sounds.
Oh,
And thank you for holding such a beautiful space and the questions and everything. I really truly enjoyed it as well. So
sending you a big hug, Claudia.
yeah, big hug to you.
Big hug.
Okay.
Much
Bye.
love.
All right.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye. You too.